On tonight's episode of our nation's sports show, we break down all of the action from Cleveland from this past weekend's NBA All-Star Weekend festivities. The dunk contest, the three-point shootout, and the All-Star game between Team LeBron and Team Giron. In the game for Team LeBron, Stephen Curry, the all-time three-point king, dropped 16 threes in the game, scored 50 points to help Team LeBron win the All-Star game 163 to 160. Curry was also named the All-Star game MVP 3 weeks from now. On March the 16th, free agency will begin in the National Football League. For the next couple of weeks, our Nation Sports Show has you covered. What crazy signings, trades will occur in the off-season? Who will be the missing piece to an NFL franchise to make a deep postseason run next year? It's that time once again, sports fans. Let's talk some sports. Right now. From the gridiron to the court, talking all that is sports. Members of the Busted Up Nation bring to you our Nation Sports Show. Here are your hosts, Ezra Vickery, Joey Thornton, Kevin Rorie, Randy Giron, and Stephen Wyand.
All right, guys, here we go. Everybody on screen. All right, let's do this shit. All right, guys, welcome. It is another Tuesday, and that means our Nation Sports Show is live. It's going to be a great show, guys. We got a lot to talk about. Of course, as mentioned in the intro, NBA All-Star Weekend, NFL free agency, and whatever other topics we can get into over the course of the next 2 hours, we'll get into. But we want you guys to interact with us. Hit us up on the YouTube as usual, youtube.com. Search our Nation Sports Show in the search, and then that's where you can find us. Steven, how many followers or how many subscribers are we away from the 100 mark?
We are at 91 right now as we speak.
Still at 91. Come on, guys. Let's get that 100 subscriber mark up so we can easily share content with you. You guys can easily find us. We get our own custom URL, which makes that possible. Of course, hit us up on Twitter, twitter.com/ON_sports show, facebook.com/Our Nation Sports Show. And also don't forget to follow our Twitter or our Instagram as well, Our Nation Sports Show. And also don't forget to follow our brothers and sisters over at the Nation's Quarter as well. Wanted to plug that real quick, of course. Discord GG/Nation's Quarter and youtube.com/Nation's Quarter, Nation's Quarter across all of the social media platforms. And also, of course, my group, Too Sweet Cosplay. You can follow them at Too Sweet Cosplay across all socials. Give them a like, share, subscribe as well. All right, now that we got all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get forward with the show, guys. We got a lot to talk about. Let's introduce everybody. Of course, first we got to bring in our boy here. Joseph, not JT Thornton. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. I'm ready to have another edition of Sports Show with you fine gentlemen. And I want to start off by saying, even though this is not a wrestling show, I would like to say congratulations to the one, the only Phenom, the one, the only dead man, Undertaker, on being inducted into the Hall of Fame in just a few weeks. Congratulations, Undertaker. You, my man, deserve it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Congratulations to the Phenom on a long-waited induction, and we'll talk about we'll get a little bit talk about that at the end of the show, of course. But definitely, congratulations to the dead man. It's awesome. Let's get the next guy here. This guy, he's got himself a brand new little setup with his new tablet that he mentioned on the pre-show, but he's our Oakland Raiders specialist here. Our good buddy Randy. What's going on, Randy?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Yeah, I'm working out some kinks on this thing here. I don't know if I like it or not. I'm even more dark in here than usual, so I don't know. Working on some weird stuff here, but looking forward to a great show tonight, and just talking about what is going on. And I too am happy for the Undertaker. One time he said, when they asked him about his gimmick, he said, "Nah, I'll go with it and see what happens." I think it worked out. I'm pretty sure. So here's to a good show, and thanks for having me as always.
Absolutely, Randy. We love having you. We love having everybody on this crew. Let's go to the next guy. We talk about an Oakland Raiders specialist. We got ourselves our San Francisco and Golden State, and more or less our football specialist here on the show. The only man here to have played more meaningful games than the Carolina Panthers past 3 seasons combined. I thought. Let's go with our good buddy here, Kevin Rorie. What's going on, my man?
Oh, you said it best. What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a great day and a great evening, and look forward to another great show with you guys as the NFL offseason starts, as far as like the NBA getting ramped up, getting ready to go into playoff mode, all-star break, stuff like that.
Kevin's broke.
Just like y'all said, cheers.
Your
to the
audio is
Undertaker,
going
one
into
of
the off season as we speak.
Sounds like he's about to go to the Great White Open like Tom Petty.
He went.
I think he went on vacation.
Yeah.
His audio is free falling.
I think he went on vacation.
It's all good.
Yep, definitely. And of course, we can't do the show without this guy, man. He's our audio producer of not only this show, Nation's Corner as well. He's the Spad Mother Trucker, my heavy metal brother from another mother, the one, the only great Stephen Wyand. Stephen, what's going on, man?
What's up, everybody? Let's talk some football off-season free agency that can happen in the off-season, and also the NBA All-Star Weekend. So without further ado, let's go!
Oh yeah, let's get into it, guys.
Oh yeah!
Let's get into it, guys. First, of course, we just threw out the Paul Stanley impressions as usual, but I couldn't remiss without us being rock music fans growing up in the 80s, 90s. Couldn't be remiss without mentioning the unfortunate news that came down today that Mark Lanigan, the lead singer of Screaming Trees and a member, backstage member, basically of Queens of the Stone Age, passed away after a 2-year battle with not only COVID symptoms, but the COVID also sent him into a coma that he had been in and out of over the past few years. I believe he was only 53 years old, maybe a little bit older.
57, I want to say.
Yeah, 57. You're right, 57. Yeah, he was the lead singer of Screaming Trees, and of course, nearly lost. The hits "Nearly Lost You," of course, off of Dust, and off of the other album, Sweet Above, which was their landmark record. He was also a backing vocalist, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, on the Mad Season album Above.
Sounds about right. Yes.
Yeah, he was a great vocalist, a guy ahead of his time, one of the pioneers of that grunge scene in the 90s.
Absolutely.
Went through some health troubles the past couple of years, lost his hearing, and then of course had the COVID issue, which ended up putting him in a coma. And fortunately, we lost him today. So prayers and condolences to the family, friends, band members of Mark Lanigan of Screaming Trees.
I didn't know that. That's sad.
Definitely a hard loss if you're from the 90s. But let's move forward, guys. We got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and get right into our usual suspect. Let's go right into the NBA All-Star Weekend. And I know some of you guys have certain opinions on it, and I know it was fun. Don't get me wrong, it was fun. There was a lot of great things that went down. Unfortunately, the All-Star game is what it is. It's just a traditional, fuck around dunks and 3-point shots from wherever they desire. That's pretty much all. It's all about them guys just having fun, and we get that. Of course, the voting is another whole damn different thing, rabbit hole I could go down, and I know Kevin could go down with it being nothing but a popularity contest, but I'm not even gonna go down there because I will spend an hour on that show ranting on that shit like I did Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But let's get into it. Let's talk about let's talk since we're talking about it, let's talk about the celebrity all-star game first, because I thought that was fun. I thought that was a fun fun game, fun stuff. You can't have you talk about celebrity all-star game. You had some big names on the teams. You had rapper artist Quavo. You had former NBA player Anderson Varejao on one team with Kareem Hunt and ABC's The Bachelor's Matt James. Not open enough for me anyway to know who that is. Also at that team, Machine Gun Kelly and country music star Jimmy Allen. That's on team Luke Walton, and then Dominique Wilkins' team had the mayor of Cleveland, Justin Bibb, Kane Brown, who's making the second appearance, country music star, Myles Garrett, Daniel Gibson, comedian Tiffany Haddish, Jack Harlow, recording artist, and also Krista Jackson from the Harlem Globetrotters on that team. So it was a fun, it's like any celebrity all-star game. It's fun. There's usually some comedic element to it, like it was a couple years ago with Kevin Hart. So it wasn't bad. But we also had the Rising Stars Challenge with different teams. We had the Skills Challenge, which was interesting this year. We could talk a little bit about Skills Challenge. We could talk about the game. Of course, we went over the entire roster of players a week or two ago. I'm not going to go through it again, but on the All-Star game. So, but yeah, it was just another game of fun fuckery, as MLJ likes to stay on GCW. But what are you guys' thoughts on the All-Star game? I wanted to get your guys' opinion, or All-Star weekend. I see Kevin shaking his head over there, not really happy with the situation at hand. So, Kevin, the floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, let's see if my audio came back from the off season yet. But first,
Go ahead.
the dunk contest was an atrocious, hot garbage of a contest. I'm sorry, but that's disgraceful.
I'm glad I missed it.
It was just plain disgraceful to even watch, to even witness. 3-point shootout was decent. I mean, Karl Anthony Towns he balled out that last round because he accomplished a feat that was very hard to get. 29, he broke a record for the most points in a final round in All-Star history. So I'll give him that. But the dunk contest, I'm sorry, but as us fans, and I know the players don't really give a fucking shit about what we want, but we want dunk contests like the past, like when Michael Jordan used to compete in dunk contests, like Kobe Bryant used to compete in dunk contests. We want those kind of contests. We want to see LeBron versus John Morant versus a healthy Zion, stuff like that. Guys who we know can fucking dunk, not just a bunch of bench players who thinks they got a little vertical about them, so they think, oh, I'm going to participate in the dunk contest. There wasn't, I don't know how many years, there was not a perfect 50 score in this dunk contest. It was horrible.
Yeah,
and
I can say the same thing about your audio.
oh,
There's many times, hey, Steven, there's many times where you froze on camera, so you have no right to say anything, sir.
I know.
My setup ain't doing me any favors, so
you
I'm gonna
froze
stop
a
laughing.
deer. You froze a deer in the head. You're like a deer in the headlights, man. You're deer in the headlights. You're like
Jared Goff in the Super Bowl against the Patriots.
bingo.
There you go.
You're like Daniel Jones when he sees a ghost.
Exactly. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this was horrible. The celebrity game was decent. I'm honestly, only opinion I got about it, fuck it. They should have just put Myles Garrett in the fucking dunk contest.
I like to see that.
It'd have been better than the crap they gave us. But as far as the All-Star game, though, yeah, it is what it is. Like Ezra said, it is what it is. But what a performance by Steph Curry. He had it on his mind. He wanted to add it to his resume. Kobe Bryant, All-Star MVP. Let give it to him.
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
that was sweet. I like the Rising Stars or the skills challenge that they had. I mean, it was different. The players they had were a little interesting. For I get the Cavs had the three guys, but and the Giannis the Giannis's are they I can't even try to say the last name right now, but
Antetokounmpo.
yeah, the Greek guys.
They watched that.
Yeah, they did good too. I mean, they didn't score much on the one thing, but they were getting so many rebounds and everything. They looked great, but they couldn't hit broadside of a barn. But I think that's something that they'll probably the end was kind of weird how they did it, and they had to all they did was they usually have the half court shot anyways, but they made it to where that was the end. I didn't think it seemed to be too planned out too well, but I'd rather watch that than a bunch of nobodies jump around and try to dunk. One guy I heard didn't even make a dunk.
Because he missed 3 in a row. I'm like, poor guy, missed 3 in a row. He gave it a good old college try.
Yeah,
that was pathetic.
Oh my God. I mean, the crowd was just not even into it. And you could tell that the announcers that were on the broadcast, they were not into the dunk contest, because this is the problem. Ever since the dunk contest that we've had in the past, with Nate Robinson and Dwight Howard and Eric Gordon, guys like that, Vince Carter, back in the day, Michael Jordan, etc., Kobe Bryant, all that stuff. You have a bunch of nobodies. No offense. I understand. Oh, we want to give young players a chance. But this is why you have to have some form of superstardom, or guys that, if they aren't superstars, but if they're, great secondary players on the bench that are high, octane players that can play the game. You need to have star caliber players in the dunk contest, because it's players that people know. If you tell the casual basketball fan, hey, do you know who this guy is? Do you know who that guy is? Well, they don't know who that guy is, but they can't tell you who it is, because they don't follow the sport like we do.
There's a guy who can't dunk.
Now here's a guy who can score 50.
We used to have better dunk contests on this 9-foot hoop with the unbreakable rim on the next street
The
over.
Harlem Globetrotters have better dunk contests than freaking the NBA does.
Yeah. We used to have some ups back in the day, but
Hey, I got one thing to add to it though.
Go ahead.
I got one thing to add to it. I meant to say it. I'm sorry, but that halftime show was longer than the fucking Titanic. I'm sorry.
Oh.
That was fucking horrible. I mean, I agree that, like, calling all 75 players one by one out, that was just crazy. They should have done that the night before.
I understand if they wanted to do that during the intro pregame, fine, whatever, because the NFL did that for Super Bowl 50 when they brought out all of the MVPs for the Super Bowl up to that point. That was fine. That was cool. They did that pregame ceremony for the 100th year of the NFL before Super Bowl 54. That was cool because it made sense. This right here did not make a single lick of sense, and poor MGK.
None.
That dude gave it a good old college try, and he got nowhere. Crickets were heard in that arena.
Yeah. The same crickets that were playing after M destroyed him with kill shot. But I digress.
Yes.
Done.
that guy's terrible.
Dun. Yeah, it was bad.
Steven, wait a second. I think you mean this.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You would be correct. That sound effect best describes the performances that were on the All-Star, weekend. And look, I mean, listen, the 3-point contest, It's all right. It's not bad. It's better than the dunk contest this year. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, the dunk contest was just a complete shit show. It was bad. And, I'm not knocking the 3-point shootout or the dunk contest, but here's my thing, guys. If I'm the NBA, I would do a game of, let's see what Kevin Durant's actually good at. Horse. That would be fun. Because you have all different types.
They used to do that, Steven.
Yeah, exactly.
Jordan and Bird playing for the McDonald's.
Yeah, they used to do that back in the All-Star game weekends. I'm like, why? Why did they stop doing that? Because that was fun. I mean, making half-court shots, buckets. Trying to score baskets from way out there in the gym. That was cool. But they need to do that because that right there will save a lot of time. Quality over quantity. Because that's the biggest problem that the All-Star game weekend has had. There's been a lot of, no offense, players that aren't that great. They're in the pros, they're better than we are, but they're only going to get better if they get their reps in and stuff like that. So you got to have talent that knows how to dunk a ball, unlike that guy that missed 3 dunks in a row. I mean, he tried, but he failed. And the All-Star game for itself, it is what it is. It's a screw around, let's shoot some threes. Let's, score a lot of points. I get that they did the points combined, 24 points. I get it as a tribute to Kobe. That's cool. Whatever. That's fine. Not going to yell about that because Kobe was one of the greats, as we all know. But hats off to Curry, had a great game, 50 points, 16 threes in the game. And I bet you LeBron's sitting there going, damn, I wish I had this guy on my basketball team under other than Russell Westbrook. I mean, Curry was excellent in that game.
I'm sorry, but this All-Star game is about as bad as Kevin's haircut.
Oh, I actually told Kevin, I brought it up to Kevin.
Say, he did get it. He did get
Hey, I buried Joe last week. I got to bury you next. I buried Joe about I buried Joe about him being in the closet more than R. Kelly was.
No, but you know what? I'll say this: the juiciest part about All-Star Weekend was how Paul Pierce and Kevin Garnett still held a grudge against Ray Allen. They wouldn't give him 5.
Yeah, I did see that. It is one where people look right at him.
He said, "Fuck it, we ain't gonna shake your hand. You go dab up LeBron. Take your ass to South Beach."
You won that ring with us, but we're gonna act like that second ring didn't exist because you betrayed us.
Yeah,
it was a little bit of fucked up weekend. Joe, you got any thoughts on the NBA All-Star Weekend?
All right, I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. I don't give 2 shits about the NBA All-Star game because I'm telling you right now, to me, the NBA All-Star game is just like the NFL Pro Bowl. Nothing but a popularity shit show. That's all it is.
Now, when they used to do votings and not, as far as the NBA would say, hey, you're an all-star, or the NFL would say you're a Pro Bowl selection. They would do it based on your performances of the season, not the popularity stuff.
Exactly. And especially now that the NBA is doing the All-Star in this format instead of the typical East versus West, which I actually care for because it actually let us know who the superior conference was in the NBA. But I did like the fact that Stephen Curry had pretty much the best All-Star game of his career, draining those 16 threes.
Yep.
And about the celebrity All-Star game, which I, of course, found pretty entertaining, I would say that if Cleveland wants to continue winning, they need to sign Myles Garrett to a 10-day contract.
Yeah. This big ass at power forward.
Yeah, okay. I mean that blob that Myles Garrett did on that one shot, my God.
Myles Garrett's like, I'm not fucking around here. You guys want to play ball? I'll play ball, motherfucker.
Hey, you know what? And look, MGK is gonna keep fucking around. He tried to have beef with Myles Garrett. Like, hold up now. One person done hurt your feelings on the track. Now you're about to have Myles Garrett physically hurt you. You better stop that shit.
It's like if Logan Paul faced off against Vladimir Klitschko.
You better quit that shit.
That would be bad. That would be bad.
That would be really bad.
I'm so sorry, but man, that dude drives me up the fucking wall. I could go up on a tangent about MGK. I hope this dude has gotten trashed by more. This dude has gotten trashed by more celebrities than TMZ. Give me a fucking break. This dude gets trashed. Worked by Eminem so bad that he has to leave the rap genre, and then as soon as he gets into the rap genre, Corey Taylor from fucking Slipknot rips into him.
Oh, he's terrible. That alternative crappy guy.
Very terrible.
He's terrible. Let's not get into a tangent because I'll go on this shit for another 20 minutes.
Bad. It's horrible, and he got the worst drummer, Travis Barker, with him too. I mean,
No. Travis Barker is a hell of a drummer.
No.
He's a good drummer.
Travis, yeah.
Not as
If
good
you're
as-
back
not
there
as
on a
good as like Dave Lombardo, but-
kid's set, yeah. He only plays 2 drums. He stinks. Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're
Another
fine.
hour. Another
I
hour
didn't want to
thing.
get off on a tangent because like I said, I could go another 20 minutes on this subject, but we're not.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But no. There was definitely some issues with the weekend, and we all agree it needs to be reformatted or retooled.
Oh yeah.
Things need to be changed to make it a lot more interesting and a lot more competitive. Nice back of your 3DS, Joe.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
No, you're
about
fine.
that.
It's all good, man. I was just saying. I was like, wait, is that 3DS?
Joe, Tetris can wait.
Hey, is that never mind.
Sorry, I was looking at something real quick.
Yeah,
Well,
Elder.
anyways.
Right now, our buddy Monrovia Mike is playing Tetris with real blocks. That's how old he is.
What are you talking about? Elder's the one that invented Tetris.
Yeah, he's playing with the old school rocks from back in the day. Anyways, definitely. While we're on the subject of baseball or basketball, before we get into some more about it, I kind of want to talk to you guys. The Nets have officially announced they've signed Goran Dragic.
Woo!
So the Nets got themselves a pretty good guy there on their team.
Oh yeah.
And let's talk. And a couple other things. Of course, the Nuggets have signed DeMarcus Cousins for the rest of the season. Boogie finally got a spot somewhere.
Damn.
Finally got a spot.
On the bench.
On the
Yeah.
bench.
The bench.
Anthony Davis got a spot on the bench.
In street clothes.
Yep.
Dude,
Ah,
Anthony Street Clothes Davis.
Street clothes.
It hurt more times than Mary J. Blige.
Dude, that dude is more fragile than a freaking Chinese vase.
Yeah.
That dude has been out of more emergency rooms in the past 2 years than Johnny Knoxville has in his entire career.
Dang.
Dang.
Damn.
Damn.
But and of course the big news from the weekend, which is Chris Paul will be out 6 to 8 weeks with the thumb fracture.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
tough.
a huge loss for Phoenix. I mean, they've been on a roll this year. Devin Booker and Chris Paul, looking like Phoenix was going to be, a top contender. They still are a top contender in the Western Conference. But man, now that Paul is going to be out for 6 to 8 weeks with that injury, like that right there is going to derail Phoenix's chances at getting possibly a top 2 seed. But they have to win out here for the next, 3 to 4 weeks to have a chance to be still at the top of Golden State in the West.
Now, I will say Chris Paul has came to Phoenix and turned that whole organization around. They weren't nothing, even with Devin Booker and Ayton before Chris Paul got there. But like Kendrick Perkins said, this is his time to shine. Devin Booker has to intertwine his inner Kobe Bryant and show the hell out to keep this team rolling until Chris Paul gets back.
Yeah.
Right, because last year in the playoffs, when Chris Paul when he was playing pretty good, Devin Booker put that team on his back, and he scored 47, 48 points against the Lakers in that game 6 and knocked them out of the playoffs. And when Chris Paul was not playing at his best, Devin Booker was there to pick up the scraps and carry the team on his back. Yep, and that's what Booker did in the finals last year.
But also you got to think about it. You can't just have Devin Booker claim. You can't just put all that weight on Devin Booker. All the other players have got to step up, and that's something we talked about not only in the NBA but in the NFL as well.
Yep.
Is that you cannot have one player be. I'm not gonna say be the star, but you can't have one player have all the weight on his shoulders of that team. Everybody else on that bench has now got to step up. There's got to be somebody who's going to take the reins until Chris Paul comes back outside of Devin Booker. So somebody has got to really, on Phoenix, has got to really showcase what they're worth. I mean, and if they do, it's not only an advantage to the team because they're able to keep their momentum going, but it's also for that player who comes in there because it raises their stock. So if they end up in free agency or if they want to sign an extension, if they play well while Chris Paul is out, that shows that they can be trusted in big game moments. That shows that they can be trusted when the chips are down and they need some help. That it raises their stock and they can sign for more money later on in the offseason. So, I mean, It's an advantage to them and it's an advantage to the team as well.
I mean, because Phoenix has some decent players on that team, you know.
Definitely.
Great role players that know how to play.
Yeah, that one guy that wears a whole, looks like he's wearing a whole jogging suit under his uniform there. What's that guy's name? Been on a bunch of other teams.
JaVale McGee.
No, he.
I'm about to say you ain't talking about JaVale.
No, he shoots threes, but he was on one of the teams. He's a good player.
Yeah,
he looks like he's wearing a whole jogging suit underneath his jersey.
That'll come back to you. It'll come back to you.
It'll come back to you, man. But like we said, there's got to be some people to step up on that team to make sure that Phoenix is able to maintain that momentum. But let's quickly talk about since the All-Star break is officially over and the regular season begins actually tonight. Let's talk about our predictions for the second half of the season. Going off just the Eastern and Western Conference standings, if you look at the top 10, Miami is currently in first right now. The Bulls are actually tied with them right now, with Miami winning a tiebreaker. Then it's Philly, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Boston, and then Toronto, Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Atlanta lead 7 through 10, with Washington only, I believe, a full game out of 10th place. And in the Western Conference, of course, Phoenix is all by itself is 6.5 games above Golden State. And then Memphis, Utah, Dallas, Denver, Minnesota, the Clippers, the Lakers are now in 9th, which somehow they're still playoff contention. I don't fucking know. And then you got Portland leading out that pack, just barely squeaking by. They are at this point, they are 2 games ahead of San Antonio for the 10th spot. So before we move on this topic, I want to get you guys' opinions on the second half of the season and where do you see everything playing out? Kevin, since you're kind of our resident basketball expert as well, kind of with maybe especially you a fan, and I know you're gonna probably go towards Golden State because I know how you are. Come on. I go for the Bulls myself, so fairness out the window. What are your thoughts on the upcoming second half, and what do you think is going to be? What do you think are some of the predictions you have for it?
Well, I think with Kevin Durant returning, that Brooklyn is going to get scary, and they might go all the way back to the top where they belong. I think Milwaukee's going to, of course, stay up there. Miami, Chicago. I think that's the 4 head honchos of the East, basically. Philly, I think, like I said last week, they got worse by that Harden trade. I truly believe that. And as far as out west, like we just talked about, Phoenix, man, they're gonna have to find a way to keep it up because you got teams like Golden State and Memphis aiming right at them. Like you said, only about 6 games out, but those 6 games is about a week and a half's worth of a losing streak for a team, especially when Golden State's gonna have Draymond Green coming back here shortly, James Wiseman coming back here shortly. You got Steph Curry heating back up, and it's kind of scary. But the Lakers, I will spend a second and waste my time on them for a second, but I believe they'll make the playoffs simply because of the play-in tournament, because the only thing positive I can say about LeBron James is that those play-in games are like a game 7 to LeBron James. And what has LeBron James been notorious for in game 7s in the past? And that's literally taken over. And I'm not even a LeBron fan, but I can't deny how great he's been in game 7s, which is basically what those play-in games are as a game 7. So I think they get the 8th seed, but I think they get swept in the first round. Golden State, Phoenix, Memphis, it does not matter. They get swept in the first round.
I agree. It's gonna be on both sides. On both sides of this, it's gonna be a hell of a competition. Like you said, I could see Lakers. To be honest, I joke with the Lakers all the time because of LeBron, Anthony Davis, all this shit. But I do agree they'll squeak by. I don't get it's because of the play-in rules now. Definitely, of course, Phoenix, Golden State will be at the top of the heap, no doubt. Memphis has been playing really well. Utah has had good moments on the Western Conference side. Dallas has actually been heating up a little bit too, which I'm shocked by. Clippers have been playing decent after a couple of bad seasons. They've been playing really well, getting themselves together. As far as the Eastern Conference goes, of course, we're going to see the usual suspects: the Milwaukee's, the Miami, even really proving their worth this year. Chicago, I see them really getting back into the forefront of things. Zach LaVine is slowly getting back to his normal self. Unfortunately, the All-Star game was not a good showcase for him as far as the three-point shooting contest. I know that he had his knee drained shortly before All-Star weekend. So, he's been dealing with knee discomfort the past couple of weeks. So he was getting it checked out. As far as I know, that he's still going to be good to go at the first game of the first game for the Bulls after the All-Star break. So, even without Zach LaVine, you got DeMar DeRozan on a team who's been playing like an absolute fucking beast, who's been practically unstoppable. And you've got Lonzo, who's really showing his worth. That whole team itself has been playing out of their minds. They've been playing great.
Oh yeah.
I'm shocked that Miami's at first. Miami, past couple seasons hasn't, been the best. Ever since the LeBron, exit from the team, things have kind of been, a little wavy, but they're climbing back up. And I see
it's crazy with Miami.
I could see the final. I could see if you had a Final Four to say. In this case, for me, dude, Boston. For me, Milwaukee, Miami, Chicago, dude. You've got to close. And Brooklyn, especially like you said.
Yeah.
Like you said, we came back. It's gonna be fucking scary.
You know what, Ezra? Actually, I agree with that Final Four. Chicago is one of the shocking teams this year. They've been really good this year, all season, very consistent. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan, dude. No matter where that guy, goes in his career, when he was with Toronto, first off, when he was with San Antonio, in Chicago now. This guy is playing absolute ball. He is a true number one player. Seriously. I would take him over James Harden because DeMar DeRozan is very, very scary in the clutch. And having a young player in Zach LaVine, and all those guys in Chicago, they're going to be a threat. Of course, the champs, the Bucks. We can't count those guys out. Giannis and Middleton and Holiday and all those guys. They have a lot of guys on there that know how to play their role. They're veterans of the game as far as being in the playoffs. And as we all know, defending your championship is the hardest thing to do besides winning it. Because if you're a challenger winning the championship, coming for it, it's still a hard road to do in any sport, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, etc. But when you're the defending champion, there is a monkey on your back. You have all of these teams coming after you. And the Eastern Conference has a lot of both conferences, East and West. There is deep teams across both conferences. Guys, I cannot remember the last time the NBA has had deep teams in the East and Western Conference going into the playoffs, because usually it's the West for the past decade and a half, honestly, that has dominated the NBA as far as winning championships and having the more consistent teams.
But see, Steven, I give you the reason why I say I'm leaning towards Brooklyn and Milwaukee as favored over like Miami and Chicago, which is a good Final Four, by the way.
Yes, it is.
there's two names out of that. And I know we talk about it's supposed to be a team sport, but here in the last decade, let's face it, this hasn't really been a team sport. It's been a who's the best player on the planet sport. And the two best players on the planet in that Eastern Conference right now is the best offensive player in NBA history in Kevin Durant and one of the most unstoppable beasts in NBA history in Giannis, the Greek Freak. So I'm naturally going to lean towards those guys because, I mean, you go out there and try to hold Durant under 25 and tell me how well you do. I don't care if you're Jimmy Butler. I don't care if you're DeMar DeRozan. I don't care if you have triple team. I don't care. You're not going to hold Durant under 25. There's just no way it's going to happen. Same way
Kevin,
with Giannis.
I think the Nets this year, if they make it back to the conference finals, and more than likely they probably will, their team for the second half of this year is going to be better than the team that was in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Why? Because the guy, James Harden, that brought the team down with him in that fourth quarter and overtime, he's not on the team no more. So now,
and then when you go to try to double Kevin Durant, you got extra shooters now during that trade because you got Joe Harris, who you kept Patty Mills, who's been doing good. Now you pick up the likes of a Seth Curry, who's a sniper from outside. So how are you going to defend that? You got shooters all over the court. You're going to be one-on-one with Durant in the post. You're not going to win that matchup. I don't care who you are.
And not to mention, you also got another all-star shooter who we just mentioned, the Nets just picked up, and Goran Dragic. I mean, Dragic can light it up from outside, and he can light it up at the inside too.
Joey, I thought you were about to say Ben Simmons. All-star shooter. You lost your damn mind. I said, look, to give Ben Simmons all the credit, the best is a lockdown defender.
I was about to stop the show if you said that right then and there, bro.
Yeah, I was going to sign out.
The only thing Ben Simmons knows how to do, other than play somewhat dominant defense, is cry his fucking eyes out on the bench.
Yep.
That's the only thing he knows how to do.
But Goran Dragic, man, he might be the secret weapon that the Nets truly needed because he was really good with the Heat when he went to the NBA Finals. I'm like, man, if Dragic could get players around him that were really good, and that right there is the key right there, having a guy that he can turn to if he's struggling in Kevin Durant.
But you also got a starting caliber point guard when Kyrie can't play half of the games.
Yup, that's a good point.
There you go.
Because if Kyrie can't play, well, there you go. You got Curry right there, the other Curry. Seth is really good. And, I wonder why he's that good. Oh, because he's got a good brother in Steph Curry who can shoot the lights out. The top four in the East is really going to be really good this year. For the West, I think you got Golden State, Phoenix, Memphis, and that's the hard part because, I mean, I want to say Memphis because, Morant, I mean, there's it's so hard with the West because the West, there's so many good teams as always this year. But, definitely Golden State and Phoenix is my Western Conference Finals pick for this year. I mean, the regular season games have been really good this year. The play from Paul and Curry, and now when Paul gets back, and obviously Devin Booker and Klay Thompson, now that he's been back for several weeks. I mean, man, Golden State is back to the team that I used to like. No disrespect, Kevin. When they had Durant, they took the fun out of basketball for me because they were that good. But now that they're back now that they're back to just the the two dominant shooters that have of Thompson and Curry, the Splash Brothers, man, and having Green right there in the middle on the defensive end and being the guy who can also throw passes to his guys, and that's an underrated trait that Green has. Golden State has a lot of really good players in their basketball team, and Golden State, they're good. If they're going to go to the finals, they're going to beat Phoenix, I think, at some point down the road in the Western Conference Finals, and I think it'll be a 7-game series.
And you also can't forget about putting Andrew Wiggins and James Wiseman whenever he comes back in that front court.
Oh yeah,
you better believe that Warriors defense is going to be deadly.
And you guys want to know a dark horse who I think is going to make an impact down the road? You might look at me like I'm crazy. I believe if the Clippers get Kawhi back, oh my God, I feel bad for players
Oh,
in the first
yeah.
round.
That's a good point because, man, when Kawhi is
That's
healthy,
scary.
Kawhi Leonard is
dominant.
one of the best silent but deadly shooters in the NBA. He took the Toronto Raptors 3 years ago on his back, beat that Golden State All-Star team with Durant, Curry, Thompson, and Green. Like Leonard, man, when he is healthy and he has no injuries, or if he's at 95, 100%, or even 80%, Leonard is one of the best players in the NBA. And
He might be one of the best two-way players in NBA history because of his defense and offense. It's ridiculous how the guy plays. And also, Paul George is, since last postseason, Paul George has finally played like Indiana playoff Paul George that we knew he was.
Remember that game last year that Paul George had with the Clippers against Phoenix when he dropped, what was it, like 42 points, 47 points? I'm like, dude, that's
just unfortunate that Kawhi was down after that.
Yeah. That's Pacers, George, with Roy Hibbert and, George Hill and all those guys with those great Pacer teams back in the early 2010s. And I mean, if the Clippers can get Leonard back, man, like
look out.
They can make a deep run. They can make a deep run. But the Lakers, no matter where they end up at, because listen, I mean, they're going to get in the playoffs somehow. I mean, if the play-in game comes down to the factor, the Lakers are going to get it because, like you say, Kev, LeBron thrives. No matter how much we shit on LeBron because we're so sick and tired of the guy gets it done in game sevens because he thrives on the winner-take-all situation. And in the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals against the Celtics, he essentially played 2 game sevens. Kevin, I remember that game very vividly because you and I were watching that game and we were like, man, LeBron is going to go off. And he did in that game. And that's the one thing that scares me about the Lakers this year. If they get the play-in game this year, they're going to win it because of LeBron. Because when LeBron has that mentality, the back against the wall mentality, he actually plays good. If LeBron actually played more consistent like that, we wouldn't be sitting here joking about the guy. Because the guy, when he has his mindset, he gets the job done. And they have some good players on that Laker team, but they're far near. They're not even close to the Suns or to the Warriors because, hell, last weekend, the weekend of the Super Bowl, when they played the Warriors, that was the best game the Lakers played all season long. And they still lost. Why? Because of Klay Thompson.
Yep.
LeBron missing the free throw. The 1 out of the 2 free throws or 3 free throws, that right there screwed him up. And LeBron,
that was just a bad call in that game, though. Like Curry did not foul him in the shooting motion. That should have been only 2 free throws.
Yep.
And he still missed.
Yep. The basketball gods came back and said,
think about it, like you said, the play-in tournament, the Lakers are going to have the benefit because it's like a game 7 for LeBron. But once they get to that first round and have to play Phoenix or Golden State, they're not winning 4 games out of 7 against nobody. I don't care. That's just too much for LeBron to be asked to do.
Yeah, absolutely, because he can't do it by himself. The guy is getting up there in age. I mean, it's just they're not going to do it this year. It's either going to be Phoenix or Golden State coming out of the Western Conference. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if Phoenix or Utah, comes out. I mean, because the West is just, as always, is deep.
Yeah.
This year, it's a very interesting year for the NBA because it's been very interesting for the past 3 years for the most part. Because I mean, Toronto won in the finals in 2019. Last year, the greatest NBA finals in God knows how long between the Bucks and the Suns. And then this year, it's been unpredictable as all get out. The NBA has a lot of uprising stars, uprising teams because Chicago is coming back to that forefront, and Chicago can make a deep run in the East. It wouldn't surprise me if Chicago makes it to the NBA Finals. Now it's going to be a tough road ahead because against the Bucks or the Nets, because they both have veterans on that team that have playoff experiences with Giannis and Durant, etc. So the NBA, they're set up for a nice second half of the year with the season, the second half of the year kicking off tonight. So the run to the playoffs in May and the springtime into the summer is going to be rather interesting this year.
I think there's a team that no one's even mentioned, and I can't believe that I'm going to mention them. I'm an Ohio guy, but it's the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've been playing their asses off all season long. Every time I watch them, it's like watching a whole totally different team. That Jared Allen has really done well for them. I don't know. I don't know how they'll hold up for the rest of the year, but hopefully they can get in. 'Cause I'd like them to do something without LeBron for once. They finally got all the little pieces. I don't know if they'll go far in the playoffs or not, but I'm actually happy for them. Just a little bit of a Cavs fan. I was real happy to see him win. I have, of course, my dad and my brother are huge Cavs fans. I have no idea why, but God, I love them anyway. But there's a part of me who wants to see them win. The Browns, however, never. But
No.
But I think I'd like to see Golden State take it out of the West. I don't think Phoenix doesn't have the other players like Golden State does, and I think the real sleeper of all these teams is Memphis and Ja Morant.
Yeah.
All those guys, I watched them play against the Hornets one time, and they scored like 60 points in the first, or 40 points in the first quarter. I mean, they were on fire, and those guys I never even heard of. I was very impressed. So it'll be good to see a couple different teams, new teams, getting in it, and teams that aren't usually the usual suspects.
And that's an interesting point, Randy. Talking about, you talked about Phoenix's other players on the bench and stuff. That's my biggest concern with Phoenix, because if they don't have their superstars and their main role players showing up, when you get deep into that bench and they have to come into the game to play minutes, meaningful minutes, if their star players get in foul trouble, that's where they can get in trouble, because that's where Milwaukee did beat Phoenix in the finals last year. Their bench outplayed Phoenix's bench predominantly in that entire series.
Oh, yeah.
And their role players made critical shots, like when Connaughton made that three-pointer in game 3, game 4, that place was rocking when he hit that three. I'm like, man, it was electrifying, when he hit that, and that's the one thing that concerns me about Phoenix this year for their second half of the year, is if Paul, when he comes back and Booker and them are in the playoffs and they're not hitting on their strides and hitting their shots consistently and playing great defense and stuff, it's just the Phoenix are going to be in a tough spot with their role players, because if Cam Johnson's not playing good, when all those guys, it's just going to be a tough road for Phoenix.
And plus, you got to look at like teams like you said, like you just said, Golden State with the players. When they got Klay Thompson and when they get James Wiseman back, look at the players who are leaving their starting lineup to come off the bench, like Jordan Poole. The guy's averaging 22 a game, and now you're talking about essential 6 man of the year candidate playing and coming off the bench. So you're going to ask Cam Johnson and guys like that to guard like Jordan Poole, and that's just unreasonable. Jordan Poole's going to torch him.
And then look at one of the best young talents on defense for the Warriors, Gary Payton Jr. That guy is just,
I love him. The glove son.
He gets that defensive gene from his father, the great Gary Payton. And you can't
coach hustle, and the guy knows how to hustle. He out jumped the 7-footer on a damn jump ball, like on a tip. He out jumped the damn 7-footer on a tip. He knows how to hustle.
It would surprise me if.
I gotta agree with you, Randy. That about Cleveland, they got them a young stud trio with Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, and Darius Garland. Those three, as long as the ownership does not fuck up like the Charlotte Hornets, you got a big three who can possibly in about 2 to 3 years contend for an Eastern Conference championship without a shadow of a doubt.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I love what Cleveland's doing. I'm hoping and I'm secretly pulling for them to do something in the next couple of years, because I want to see them back without a freaking LeBron James.
Yeah, looking like the teams from the 90s when they took on Jordan and the Bulls in the Eastern Conference semifinals and all that stuff. I mean,
right.
That's the great thing about the
Great.
NBA is, I mean, we're kind of slowly but surely getting out of the super team era, and this past decade was not a great decade for regular teams being built. I mean, Chicago is building from the ground up, Milwaukee building from the ground up. To this point, Golden State is building from the ground up because getting key pieces in the draft, getting key pieces in the offseason. I mean, Gary Payton Jr., I just brought him up, and it would not surprise me if Payton Jr., like his father, some point down the road, wins the Defensive Player of the Year. Because the more reps he gets and the more he plays, he's going to get better and better. And that's the scary part. This kid is young.
Yes. And you got a lot of studs on defense for Golden State, unlike Phoenix, where you got Mikal Bridges and Chris Paul, but that's about it. You got to look at Golden State's got Klay Thompson, who was a defensive specialist. Andrew Wiggins, one of the best defensive small forwards in the game. Gary Payton the second. And then you got to look at what about that talent they got as rookie, Jonathan Kuminga. He has showed his ass this year. The limited minutes he gets, he's making them worth it. Like, he's playing 12 minutes a game and averaging like 15 a game, which is impressive. And he's a rookie.
It's impressive what Golden State's doing. They're looking, you know what? I'll say it right now. They're looking better than the Golden State team that won the finals in 2015 because they have a better set of players on this team that are young and hungry. Because when they had that bench in 2015, 2016, granted, the bench was great, but they had a lot of veteran players like Barbosa and Iguodala and what's his name? West, right? Yeah, West.
David West. Yeah,
David West.
The key to it is if Draymond Green can stay healthy, they need to get him back healthy. You can see a difference between when he's hurting out and when he's healthy and playing. They have lost like 5 of the last 8 or 9 games after winning 9 straight. And that's because you can clearly see their offense took a hit passing the ball without Draymond. They need Draymond. That's their engine. That's what drives him. That's what gets the offense set up. That's what gets their defense locked in. He is the MVP of that team because of how he plays without the basketball. And they need him for the playoffs, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely agree with all the sentiments you guys said about Golden State. Scary team that team is another scary team, especially those young players. If they play well, look out. Western Conference could be theirs. We'll see, guys. Since we're in the middle of this NBA discussion, I'm actually going to pull up the list of the NBA season doesn't restart until February 24th, as many of you know. So the games for that day will be, since we're going to go over scores anyways in a little bit, Cavaliers and Pistons at 7 p.m. Eastern, Celtics and Nets at 7:30, Hawks and Bulls at 8, Grizzlies T-Wolves at 8, Suns and Thunder at 8, Warriors and Trailblazers at 10, and Nuggets and Kings at 10. So should be a good start to the beginning of the season for the NBA with some good games on Thursday. But let's go ahead and move on, guys. Let's go into the NFL. Let's go to our bread and butter here, folks, and let's talk about NFL free agency. And of course, free agency will officially begin soon, and trade and we'll be able to sign eventually. I pulled up a list of some of the free agents that are available as of this time. Well, I did have the list until my phone decided to go ahead and not play the list because it's a piece of shit, but I digress. Here it is. According to Sportrack.com, these are some of the free agents. You got guys like Von Miller, Allen Robinson from Chicago, who's unrestricted. You got Dante Fowler, Devontae Adams, Tyrann Mathieu, Stephon Gilmore, Akeem Hicks. These are all players who will be unrestricted free agents. Will Fuller, Andy Dalton. Okay. Kyle Fuller. Hopefully the new D League is going to be started by the XFL sides. Andy Dalton, Dominic Sue, Dante Hightower. I mean, Melvin Gordon, T.Y. Hilton, Patrick Peterson, Rob Gronkowski, Jadeveon Clowney. Those are just some of the names that are in A.J. Green. Those are just some of the names that are on that free agent. Sammy Watkins. It's the same the level of free agency that is going to be available. Some of these that some of these players are going to be locks for their teams. They're going to get re-signed, to bigger contracts or maybe restructured contracts to help out the salary cap. In retrospect. So, I want to let's go to Steven first. Steven, this is going to be a wild NFL free agency for sure to see where players go. And we mentioned this a couple weeks ago about the whole Aaron Donald situation, about if he's going to stay or not, and and all that stuff too. So, it's going to be wild, to say the least. This is going to be very interesting to see where everybody ends up being when that first kickoff begins in the preseason. So
yes, it is.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, my man?
Man, if they're you just said some of the players that are going to be on the market. Like if I'm Kansas City needs to go after a true number 2 wide receiver, because Tyreek Hill is their only number 1 truly wide receiver. Now, I'm not going to count Travis Kelce because he's a tight end. He does play like a receiver, but you need to have that true number 2 that they used to have, like they did all those years with Sammy Watkins a couple of seasons ago. Those 3 seasons that he was with Kansas City. And they need to have somebody like a Devontae Adams. Hell, if Watkins wants to come back to Kansas City, whatever, be my guest. But they need to get another number 2 on that offensive side of the ball. If I'm Kansas City also, I would try to go out there a really, another good defensive player, maybe like a Patrick Peterson. It's going to be interesting, this year in the offseason, because as we all know, Matthew Stafford was the piece that the Rams needed to win the Super Bowl. And I really think that the Rams are not going to be the same looking team next year. I think Von Miller's going to go somewhere else. I think maybe Aaron Donald. Honestly, if I'm Aaron Donald, I would announce my retirement, retire as a champion. It's going to be a wild offseason this year. Gronkowski, I think, could go, maybe to it's tough. He could go to Buffalo if he wanted to. Go back to the Patriots, go to Green Bay. If Rodgers decides to come back, we'll get into that. I don't know, man. We got a lot of time to talk about this, and as the weeks go on, we'll see some more stories coming about, with these free agents and stuff like that. Because the key to this offseason is, if you're going to get great players, you got to know how much you're willing to spend for these guys, especially if you want to get a bunch of good players on your team. You got to, take some pay cuts and stuff like that. So, we shall see.
Definitely.
There's a bunch of free agents, and there's a bunch of off-season storylines, and I tell you my predictions for the 2 biggest ones as of right now. I think Aaron, and this is going to depend on Devontae Adams as well. If Aaron Rodgers comes back to Green Bay, they're going to franchise tag Devontae Adams, and he'll be in Green Bay as well. We obviously know that.
Yep.
But the big key is what I believe. I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. That leaves the door open to where is Devontae Adams going to sign? What quarterback is he going to go say, hey, I'm going to go play with him? Which one? That's a big key. Another big offseason move I think is going to be made, and I know Randy hates this one, but I believe that the 49ers are going to trade Jimmy. Well, reading the stories, I believe they're going to trade Jimmy Garoppolo to the Bucs for the rights of Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's going to come out of retirement and play for the 49ers this last year. The reason why I say that is the only reason he retired, from what multiple reports have said, is because of Bruce Arians' coaching style, how they've had a huge downfall this last season, and I believe Brady's just sick of it. He's done with it. I believe it has nothing to do with his offseason or outside the field and lifestyle. I believe he's just pure done with it. He wants to retire to get out of that contract and that deal with Tampa Bay. So I believe if he hears that deal, trade Jimmy Garoppolo for a 4th-round pick and the rights to Tom Brady might snap right out of retirement right before the preseason to go play for the 49ers, his hometown, his favorite team growing up.
Dude,
I believe that's a very possibility.
if Brady does that, I hate to say it, Randy, I'm sorry, but that right there would be amazing because Brady to come out of retirement, and if he does, I don't think he will, but hypothetically, if they say, "Hey Brady, we're gonna trade away Garoppolo to get you to come out of retirement to play for your favorite team," growing up as a kid, watching Joe Montana in the stands throwing the catch to Dwight Clark against the Cowboys in the NFC Championship game back in 1981. If Tom Brady comes out of retirement and plays for the Niners, that would be crazy. Because
I mean, it's eye candy to the 40. Like, it would be eye candy to Tom Brady if John Lynch picked up the phone and say, "Hey, would you be interested to come back for 1 year, just 1 year this year, to play with the likes of Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, an offensive line that's going to protect you, a running game, something that Tampa Bay has proven not to have the last 2 years that you were there. You could play with one of the best running games in football. You could play with the best offensive play caller in the game in Kyle Shanahan. Why not? You have a defense that is top 5 in every category on the field. Why not? Brady's like, you know what? That's about a guaranteed ring in the NFC. Aaron Rodgers will be gone possibly. He wouldn't have no competition but the Rams.
He has nothing to lose at this point if he came out of retirement and played for the Niners.
Nah, that's just simply playing for his hometown favorite team. He wants to play for them. He wants to play for his hometown favorite team, his growing up team. That's all that is. But as far as the other free agent, I'm going to make a couple of bold statements and predictions. I believe the Bengals are going to address what they need. I believe they signed Teron Armstead, and I believe they signed that guard Shirts for Washington. I believe they do get both of them in a blockbuster signing. And then I believe Gronk also goes to Cincinnati. I believe Rob Gronkowski goes to play for Cincinnati. And I believe the likes of Kansas City will end up signing. I believe they're going to end up trying to go after a receiver, like you said. I believe I don't know if they can afford Mike Evans, but I believe they'll try. But I think if anything, I'm going to say they sign Chris Godwin, who ain't going to play for the first half of the year. I think they'll sign Chris Godwin, and he'll be ready for the playoffs to play.
Really am.
And I believe the Bucs are able to retain Mike Evans, obviously. But another key, I believe Tyrann Mathieu is going to leave Kansas City. He's a free agent this year. And I'm going to make a bold prediction right now. I believe Tyrann Mathieu signs with the New England Patriots.
Good point.
And one more. I believe Stephon Gilmore signs a 1-year deal with the 49ers to address the cornerback position as well.
I think that Kansas City defense is going to look very different next year. If you thought their defense was suspect at times last year, which they were for the first half of the year, I think their defense is going to look very different next year because Tyrann Mathieu has questioned his future in Kansas City. So has Frank Clark. They have questioned their future with the Chiefs, and if they leave the Chiefs, their defense is not going to be as good as it has been the last 3 to 4 seasons.
Not at all. But let me ask you guys a question. Here's one dealing with the all-season topic. Where do you see Christian McCaffrey being traded to? What would be a good fit? Let me ask you guys' opinion on that. Me personally, I'm going to say the Miami Dolphins. Mike McDaniel wants something offensively, and they got a pretty decent O-line. I think Mike McDaniel's trying to go for the home run ball on offense this year.
Yeah, I think that's actually a very good pick there, Kevin. I think so. I think they need extra help on that offense. And as long as Christian McCaffrey can stay healthy and be that elite player that he is, I think that he can really help that offense excel and give Miami even the slightest bit of a threat in their division, which I think that's one of the key cogs in that team that's missing is a great offensive weapon like a Christian McCaffrey, and that trade or signing to me would make sense.
Yeah, I think that McCaffrey to the Dolphins would be a good move for Miami. But Kevin, 49ers can't have everybody, man. Come on.
I know.
Jeez. No, I'm just playing. I was in a good mood and I was happy until you talked about guy coming back. I'm gonna have my cat scratch me on purpose just for that reason. But I like your Devontae Adams might leave scenario because there's only really, it's kind of weird, but there's only one quarterback you really like to play with, and that's Derek Carr. And they played together at Fresno State, and I'd love to see him in Vegas. I want to say Oakland all the time, but
I could see that. I could definitely see that. Him and
love,
Renfro.
that would be the best. That's what they're.
I could see
That's one of those pieces they're missing. And Mike, Josh McDaniels will, no doubt have serious stuff in play for him, and not only just fuel Carr for this coming season, and I think they're just a couple of players away as well from really making some noise and in the West, and especially what you're saying about those guys leaving the Chiefs. That would be great. I mean, that'd be terrible for them. I mean, but yeah, there's a lot of great scenarios that could happen. I've heard everything from me and Kevin even talked about Garoppolo to the Raiders and Carr leaving and going to the Saints. I mean, there's just so many things out there.
The quarterback market is huge this year. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, with guys like Russ and Kyler wanting to be traded, Jimmy's going to go to somewhere. Marcus Mariota looking for a big contract to try to get a second chance as a starter. I mean, you got Pittsburgh needing a quarterback, New Orleans needing a quarterback. Miami might look to upgrade. I mean, they might be looking at that Kyler Murray situation like, hey, you know what? He's better than Tua. I mean, Russell Wilson better than Tua. Let's see what we can do.
Kevin, that was one of the big questions I wanted to ask. Thank you for reminding me. Is where does Kyler Murray end up? Because that's one of the big questions on free agency, not just the Aaron Rodgers thing, not just this is where is Kyler Murray going to end up because of him questioning his future in Arizona after the whole social media thing and all that stuff. That's one of the big questions I wanted to ask all of you is where does Kyler Murray end up?
Oh,
Well,
I know Joey would love to say Washington.
Oh, they got.
Let me go and give a little insight. Kevin, the answer to your question about Christian McCaffrey, I've been sitting here thinking about a good possible trade destination, and
I know I can see the smoke coming out your ears.
I think I have a pretty good idea of where Christian McCaffrey might end up. Now, you guys might try to blast me for this because I know we tried to blast this team pretty much the whole regular season, but I think a good possible fit for Christian McCaffrey might actually be up in Baltimore, teaming up with Lamar Jackson.
You know what? Good point.
The reason
Joey? That's a good point.
Yeah, the reason I say that is because Baltimore has such a difficult time fielding a healthy running back on that roster because think about it. They lost like 3 to 4 different running backs all before the season even started due to ACL injuries, left knee injuries, and they lost another handful of running backs during the regular season. So, and I know that Lamar Jackson is a good running quarterback. However, John Harbaugh may be saying, he may be sitting at home looking at the Ravens playbook, and he's probably sitting there like, well, golly, I kind of want to take some of the running pressure off Lamar. So if I can go out there and get a good pass catching running back who can take some of the running burden off Lamar Jackson, then you better believe I'm going to try to do it. And that is where Christian McCaffrey fits in because Christian McCaffrey, when he's healthy, is a great pass catching running back. He's a guy who trust to be a deep threat. He's a guy who can take the ball, bust right up the middle, and get about 10 to 15 yards a carry. I mean, Christian McCaffrey, I think, could be a great fit for Baltimore. I think he could be.
You know what, Joey? I like your take on it. I will say that's a good destination. I'll give you another destination that might be a good, intriguing destination too. Hear me out on this one. As much as I don't want to happen because it's in the NFC West, I believe Seattle to be able to keep Russ, to be able to want to stay in Seattle would be a good destination. Think about it. Russ wants help. He wants a running game. I mean, they got a decent O-line. I think Pete Carroll in the front office like, hey, Russ, will you stay if we trade for Chris McCaffrey? And I know it sounds crazy, but I think they'll trade Bobby Wagner because the Panthers need a middle linebacker. Bobby Wagner's past his prime. He's starting to decline.
Yeah.
So the Panthers could probably get Bobby Wagner in a third and get Christian McCaffrey out to Seattle. I believe that's a good take.
Yeah, and Ezra, the answer to your question about where Kyler Murray might end up, you all might sound pretty surprising whenever I say this, because I have been doing a lot of research into the Kyler Murray situation.
The Houston Oilers do not exist, so don't put that in there.
Don't worry, I'm not stupid, you know.
Don't say Carolina either, because I will boot you from this show quicker than freaking oh my god.
But honestly, I think the best fit for Kyler Murray, given what he said about the whole situation, is to put him back at Arizona. The reason I say that is because after the whole tirade with Kyler Murray deleting all the Arizona Cardinal stuff from his social media accounts, he actually took to Twitter and he was describing, no, it was Instagram. He actually took to Instagram and was describing the whole situation. And Kyler Murray said that he wants to play for a winner. And he doesn't want to be seen as a guy who will leave a certain franchise to go try to win for another franchise when he already has a good bit of offensive playmakers right there with him. Because think about it. You got AJ Green, who Arizona might bring back. You got DeAndre Hopkins, who's coming back next year because he's still got about 2 or 3 years left on his contract.
Yep.
You got James Conner, who Arizona is looking to bring back to boost that run game. And you can't forget about Zach Ertz and Christian Kirk. I mean, Kyler Murray has all the playmakers there in Arizona. So I think what Kyler Murray was trying to do was to draw attention to himself. He was like, I bet he was like, there's a whole bunch of quarterbacks that could be going to new places next year. Names like Aaron Rodgers, names like Jimmy Garoppolo, names like Russell Wilson, possibly Kirk Cousins.
Mm-hmm.
So I bet he was thinking, you know, if I try to fool these people, add fuel to the fire, saying that I might leave Arizona, that might actually get people like interested on my take, saying why I need to stay in Arizona and why I need to be the offensive monster that everybody expects me to be out west. So I mean,
it's also not him though.
But it's kind of a jealous method. But I think whenever it's all said and done, Kyler Murray is going to stay in Arizona. I think he is.
I'd do it out of spite if I was Arizona.
I think he will too, but my thing about Kyler Murray is I think he's honestly, truly frustrated. Like, you started out as the number 1 seed in the NFC, and you go get your ass beat down the stretch by team after team after team after team. You lost to the fucking Packers without their number 1, number 2, and number 3 wide receivers, for God's sake. At the end of the year, the Rams just beat the hell out of you 2 games in a row, literally dogged you. And then you look at that NFC West that they're in. I mean, the 49ers with a quarterback away will beat your ass twice a year. The Rams still, as long as they bring half their roster back, will beat your ass twice next year. Then you got a guy now, like Chris Collinsworth said. Now here's a guy in damn Cliff Kingsbury who coached Patrick Mahomes in college, and he literally went 5-6 with the best quarterback on the planet Earth right now. Like, come on, Kyler Murray is like, bro, we have the worst. Like, there's only there's only a certain height that their ceiling's at, and I believe they're at it. I don't think they can get better because you got Hopkins, but the coaching staff, your defense is suspect. It has been proven the last 8 games of the year, your defense was in the bottom 15 of the league. You couldn't defend the pass. You couldn't stop the run. You couldn't call the plays on offense. Cliff Kingsbury looked like a chicken with his head cut off. Don't know what kind of game to call.
Kingsbury's not even a good coach at all.
No, and then you got to go against coaches like Pete Carroll, who's a Super Bowl champion, Hall of Famer. You got to go against the 2 best offensive minds in the game, and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay. And Kyler Murray's like, man, I'm frustrated. I want to go to a team with a higher ceiling. Like,
I don't blame the guy.
I was on the 49ers.
Yeah,
imagine if I was the starter.
You know what? Hot take. What if he goes to San Francisco?
I don't know if San Fran will go for that. I don't know if the Arizona ain't going to trade him to it. They're not. I hope they wouldn't be stupid enough to trade him to an in-division rival. That would be dumb as hell on Arizona's part.
But you know what? It'll be a good move for Murray because he actually has a good offense. There's a good offensive line in San Francisco, a really good defense, top 5 defense. Good weapons on offense, and Deebo Samuel and George Kittle, all the running backs they got.
A fucking defense that can hold an opponent under 17 points a game.
Yup.
And that's all you want.
And that's the thing about Arizona is when Arizona was 7-0, everybody was like, "Oh, they're a great team." I'm like, come back to me and talk to me when it's week 15, week 16, and they weren't
exactly.
This is why I think Miami would be a good fit for Kyler Murray. Miami originally wanted Deshaun Watson, right?
Right.
So Kyler Murray is just a letter grade down, to me, a letter downgrade from Deshaun Watson. He's a more interception version of Deshaun Watson. He can use his legs. He can make plays. He can make big throws. He just has a horrible decision-making process that Deshaun Watson's clearly better at. But why not if you're Miami? Why not? You got the first-round picks to give. You got the cap space. Go for it.
Miami has nothing to lose if they get him. I mean, but I don't blame Murray at all for being frustrated because, I mean, Arizona was 7-0, top of the NFC last year, and then they crumbled, as the season went on, and we weren't surprised. I mean, we were on this show talking about how Arizona was just going to go to the back of the pack, and sure enough, they did. They got their asses stomped 34-11 in the NFC wildcard game against the eventual Super Bowl champ Rams. It's not surprising because Cliff Kingsbury can't coach us up out of a paper bag.
To me, it don't matter who they would have played in the postseason. To me, Arizona would have been stomped by no matter who they played. If they met San Francisco would whoop their ass. If they met Tampa Bay would have whooped their ass. If they did meet the Rams, they whooped their ass. Hell, I even think, for crying out loud, mark it on your calendars that the day Kevin has gave props to the Cowboys. If the Cowboys
Whoa! For that one, what are you talking about?
Okay,
hold on.
The Cowboys would finally have a win in 20-something years.
Hold on, Kevin.
Hang on, bro.
I heard.
No.
That is taking it too far. That is taking it too far.
I've heard cocaine's a hell of a drug. I didn't know it was that hell of a drug.
Only on the field, guys.
That is taking it too far.
Number 1, cocaine is a hell of a drug. Number 2.
No, it's not.
I don't know what take is worse. Yours are half the takes for the internet.
Whoa. I didn't say Dallas would win. I would say who would lose the game first. And I mean Arizona would have lost first. I didn't say Dallas would have won because it would have been a shit game. I would have promised you that. It would have been worse than the damn Browns and Ravens game from Sunday Night Football. For crying out loud. That's what game it would have been. That's what game it would. I didn't say it was going to be a good game. I didn't say Mike McCarthy was going to show up. I didn't say Dak went and ran a quarterback draw in 14 seconds and no timeout. I did not say that. I just simply said that Cliff Kingsbury would find a way to lose before Mike McCarthy.
All right, let me ask you this, Kevin. What about this? What about Green Bay? If Green Bay would have faced Arizona in the playoffs, what would have happened?
Ooh, that's tough.
I'm sorry to interrupt once again, but that Cowboys take is like taking an alcoholic to a dry county. What the fuck are you talking about? Okay, continue.
Well, you know what? Seeing as it's not a conference championship game, I think Green Bay would have won wild card. I'll give them that. They have won in the wild card round.
Okay.
I'll give them that.
Aaron Rodgers.
The championship.
I guess. I guess I can see that. But
As long as the Packers aren't playing an NFC Championship game or playing any other game against San Francisco, I give them a chance.
Yeah, but
That's just that.
yeah,
Yeah,
but Kingsbury was the reason why they lost down the stretch.
I give him
He's
no
horrible.
chance. I give him no chance because I'm a Bears fan, but I digress.
oh yeah, but let me give you guys a hot take.
boy.
Sunday, I was reading one of the articles that I was talking about NFL free agency, and of course the article was called "Predicting Where NFL Free Agents Will Land." Now I got to one particular free agent saying how he was signed with a different team, and I was reading the analysis of it. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense for this player to go to this team. And the player that I'm talking about is Teron Armstead from New Orleans. I mean, think about it. He's one of the best O linemen in the game. He protects his quarterback. He gets the blocks where he needs to, and he's just a 5-tier offensive lineman who anybody can pine for. Now, the team that this particular guy said that Teron Armstead would go to is a team that needs offensive line help more than anybody. And that, my friends, is your Super Bowl runner-ups, the Cincinnati Bengals.
That's a good point.
It makes a lot of sense for Teron Armstead to sign with Cincinnati. As a matter of fact, after he gave his analysis, he said that since Cincinnati has the money, has the cap space from playing in the Super Bowl, they're saying that they have the cap space to sign Teron Armstead to like a 5-year, $80 million deal. And honestly, I fucking believe it. Fucking believe it.
Hey, Joe, don't mean to interrupt you. We do have some comments on the YouTube chat. For the YouTube chat from Thunder Rosa, who says 2 new teams in the USFL coming: Dallas Donkeys and Miami Monkeys in 2024.
Brian!
Shout out to Brian Rosa. And then of course, our buddy R.A. Davis replied, "Already gonna have a race instead of a coin flip." God damn it.
Damn.
I don't listen to that song in 3 days. Now it's not gonna stop playing in my head.
Oh,
Like your name Slayton song, Run Away, that Front Row played. Shout out to Front Row. Anyways, I do, but Joe, I do agree with your assessment, though.
Yeah, I mean, Teron Armstead should go to Cincinnati because he would really boost.
Well, of course you agree with your fucking assessment. You're the one who said it.
But see, I mean, he would really boost Cincinnati's offensive line, and I kind of hate to bring this up, but there is one team that has been on the bad luck when it comes to making huge free agent moves, and pretty much not going anywhere with it. And that, of course, is Washington. Because think about it. Think about it. Washington has signed so many hotshot free agents. Yeah, some of them have been on the tail end of their careers, but a lot of them actually still had a lot, I think, at the time to bring to the table. I mean, look at Josh Norman, for example. I mean, when we signed him, when we signed him, I guys just hear me out. Just hear me out. When we signed him from Carolina, I thought he had one of the best high ceilings possible because Josh Norman at the time was an elite shutdown corner who knew how to, I guess you can say, get all over receivers' bodies without him committing pass interference penalties all the time. I mean, I thought Josh Norman was a really great corner at the time. And I was really psyched that we were signing him to like a 5-year deal. But now it's just like Josh Norman's playing career has went down the fucking toilet, for crying out loud.
Because he never was a lockdown corner. He was a strictly zone cover 3 corner, and it showed like when you're a zone corner like Richard Sherman has been his whole career, you're not considered a lockdown man-to-man corner. You're going to get your ass roasted when you do play man. And Josh Norman got exposed big time.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, of course, I want Washington to go out and get a huge free agent off the market or bring back somebody like Brendan Sheriff, who is actually one of the best offensive linemen we've seen since the Hog days from back in the 80s and early 90s. I would love for us to bring Sheriff back, and I would love for us to get a hot shot quarterback either through free agency or the drafts to where we can actually get an O-line to actually protect him. So,
we'll give you a hot shot corner. You can have porn star Jimmy free of cost.
Hey, you know what? You know what? I should take that. Bring Jimmy
Speaking of
G
hot,
to
we'll give you a
Washington.
hot shot. Hot garbage.
I'll take Jimmy G. I would love to see him come to Washington because, like you said, Kevin, over the past number of weeks, Jimmy G is a winner. I mean, he's had a bunch of offensive playmakers around him, and Washington doesn't have the offensive playmakers that San Francisco has, but we're giving it a shot. We got Terry McLaurin as our star wideout. You got a great running back in Antonio Gibson. You got up and coming receivers like the guy from Carolina, De'Ami Brown, and of course you got Cam Sims over there. And Washington, they don't have a Brandon Ayuk or a Deebo Samuel or George Kittle like Jimmy G had in San Francisco, but Washington's got some elite offensive playmakers. We just need to get a quarterback who knows how to lead a team to, kind of stir the pot a little bit, get us going on offense. And we need to boost up our defense a little bit more because, we got Chase Young back there, and he and Montez Sweat are pretty much the true leaders of that Washington defense, but we need to get somebody who knows how to play defense as well to kind of boost our defensive playmakers and be that elite level defense that Jack Del Rio knows we can be. So, Washington has the cap space to go out and make some pretty insane deals. And I would love for us to go out and make a splash in free agency and get big time names. And I would also like to see us get a few good names in the draft, but that's just my hot take. So what do you?
Joey?
I gotta say,
I'm gonna give you two hot takes as far as the trades for the all season, and we haven't talked about this, which I'm surprised. It's been bubbling for a year and a half now, but two of the biggest trades I think will happen this off season is, we talked about, I think Kansas City's going to lose Tyrann Mathieu. Okay, that's cool. I think Kansas City trades for Michael Thomas as their number 2 receiver. New Orleans is in a rebuild. Michael Thomas has made it flat out clear he wants to get the fuck out of New Orleans. So I think that's the perfect situation.
Man.
I think Michael Thomas ends up with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in Kansas City. Good situation. Tyreek over the top running deep routes. Michael Thomas, a.k.a. Slant Boy, run slants. Help the quarterback.
Kansas City already has an elite offense. So if they were to add Michael Thomas to be that true number 2 guy behind Tyreek Hill, Kansas City's offense would be 10 times more dangerous than what they already are right now.
See, that's where the Rams got it done this past season in the Super Bowl with the deep team that they had on the offensive end. Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr. when he's healthy, Robert Woods. When Higbee's healthy and all that stuff. If the Kansas City Chiefs can acquire Michael Thomas, they're going to be back to where they were 2-3 years ago. Go ahead, Kevin.
Oh yeah.
And I'll give you one more trade that I think will happen too, which kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I think Jimmy G is going to probably go to Tampa Bay, Washington, Pittsburgh. Something. Here's a big trade I think is going to happen. I think Tennessee is sick of Ryan Tannehill's shit. I think they acquire Matt Ryan from the Falcons to recertify and get back for Julio Jones.
Hot take.
I'm gonna call it now. I think Tennessee wants that. Mike Vrabel wants that.
Wow.
I'll tell you now, and here's my last take for the all season, and we shall see. And it kind of goes into next year. I think Matt LaFleur should be on the fucking hot seat. I think he's one of the worst coaches that has ever coached in Green Bay. I'm sorry. He's worse than Mike McCartney because of, we all hate Aaron Rodgers. We all talk our shit, but we can honestly say the reason why that team has been successful has been because of Aaron Rodgers, not the offensive play calling, not the offensive scheme. It has simply been because of Aaron Rodgers' arm is why they had that much talent. Let's be honest. Matt LaFleur had coached for Tennessee. He was Tennessee's offensive coordinator, 27th in the NFL in offense. He leaves. Tennessee's offense gets better. They're 10th. Come on. It's not rocket science. He coached McVay's offense and the Rams offense of 2 years ago didn't even make the playoffs.
Nope.
Oh, you know what? I just thought of a brand new hot take. Now, one of you guys on here is going to be really thrilled about this one. One of you guys is really going to be thrilled. And I was actually reading about this one also in that same article that I was talking about. And one hot shot wide receiver who has a great opportunity to go elsewhere is Chris Godwin from Tampa Bay. Chris Godwin, he was behind Mike Evans over in Tampa Bay. But if you ask me, Chris Godwin has elite level talent that he can actually go to a team and be the true number one wideout. Now, where do I think Chris Godwin is going to go? Ezra, you're going to be proud of me. I think Chris Godwin is going to Chicago because Chris Godwin, we all know that Allen Robinson is probably going to be leaving Chicago anyways. We all know that Allen Robinson wants out of Chicago. So this is Justin Fields' chance, and I can't remember the new Chicago Bears head coach, but this is their chance to go out and get not only a good elite level wide receiver, but a hot shot young guy like Chris Godwin who can actually come in, learn the playbook really quickly, and make Justin Fields the elite level quarterback that Chicago wants to see. Because think about it, Chicago has not had an elite level quarterback in many years. So now this is their chance to develop Justin Fields into that elite level quarterback that they need, that they want him to be, and bring him a guy like Chris Godwin who he can throw passes to. I gotta say, Chris Godwin, I think it's a great fit to go to Chicago. That's my new hot take.
For your take. Applause.
I have a great scenario.
Go ahead.
God, Randy's got a great scenario.
Oh boy.
What?
Yeah.
The Raiders go back to Oakland?
No. It's what I've heard. Baker Mayfield gonna get traded to Minnesota.
Oh dear God!
Oh my
And
God!
Cleveland's fans' heads explode now.
Here's the thing: that'd be like trading Harvey Grant for Horace Grant, because they're the same person. They're the same player.
No, that's like.
I hope that happens just because.
Oh God!
Just for that.
Oh.
They're the same damn player.
Just like your take. Just like your take.
Wait a minute. So you're saying that Baker Mayfield for Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah.
So that's like trading a glass of monkey piss for a big plate of monkey shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Why would either team want to do that?
I was actually being nice about it, but you're telling the truth.
Because
Because they're Cleveland and Minnesota, eh?
Yeah.
hey, give or take shitty teams. 1A Minnesota, 1B Cleveland. Give or take, flip a coin.
I don't know. But I think
Oh my God.
they think it's different or something. I don't know. But I mean, they already have Case Keenum, who is basically Kirk Cousins. I mean, I don't understand. That's what I've heard. I mean, that's only speculation, but it's Cleveland, so it's probably.
I
I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's worse, that trade or having the measles. I don't know. Speaking of that, speaking of that little break in the action here. I went to the doctors the other day to check out a few spots on my chest. I didn't know if it was chickenpox or measles. I went to the doctor and he said that he didn't want to make a rash decision.
But no, you guys were talking about Robinson possibly leaving Chicago. I'll throw this out for you guys. What if he goes to Buffalo?
I don't think so. I just don't. Buffalo, with the emergence of all the receivers they've had this year, I think they're going to stay put offensively.
Yeah,
I think Buffalo's going to keep their Diggs and Cole Beasley and all the other receivers that showed out, that 200-yard guy.
Yeah.
I think they're just going to keep them.
I don't really think you're going to trade any of their offensive pieces right now. I
know it might be crazy. Hear me out, though.
What's up?
I think because Allen Robinson, I think he wants some money. And I think there's one team that's going to overpay for him, and it's the team that he recently came from. I think Jacksonville is going to pay a shit ton of money to try to bring him back to Jacksonville. I mean, you got head coach Doug Peterson, which is an attractive kind of designation with you got a Super Bowl head coach. So, I mean, who knows? He might say, you know what? Fuck it. Let's go give it a shot with the second-year player. Let's go give it a shot with Lawrence. I'll be the number one receiver there. So, you know what? I think might end up in Jacksonville again.
That would actually wouldn't be that actually is not out of the realm of possibility, because like you said, when you have a Super Bowl winning head coach as the head coach of your team, it is very attractive to players. They see that it's like, oh, this guy's got major success. This guy knows how to build players. This guy knows how to build a team and make great plays. So, when you see something like that, it's attractive to players, and that makes them think, maybe I should take a shot here and sign here. Maybe we can make a difference. But I mean, yes, Jacksonville's track record has not been great. We know that with the coaches in the past, the players in the past, the whole Urban Meyer situation, all that stuff. It's completely understandable. But
that was Matt Nagy's problem. That's another thing.
Yeah,
Chicago didn't really try to force him to get the ball like they. And nothing against Justin Fields. It's just Matt Nagy was a piece of shit, and his offensive line couldn't protect. So he goes back to Jacksonville, where he's the number one receiver. Doug Peterson's going to be at least smart enough to say, you know what? Come on, Trevor. Get the ball to Robinson. Get him the ball. Get him some touches. And then they're going to pay the guy as the number one receiver. So, hey, it's a win-win.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, because with Peterson's track record winning the Super Bowl with the Eagles against the Patriots in 2017, that right there can attract a lot of good things for him, because he has that track record of being a good coach, and if he can get some good players to that team, Jacksonville could be on the rise. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, they're not going to make it overnight. I mean, they're not going to go from worst to first just like the Bengals did.
Nope.
But if they can start next season, Jacksonville can start doing some good things.
They can turn it around over 5 years.
Yeah, they could. I mean,
absolutely.
Look at the Jacksonville Jaguars team a few years ago that actually made it to the AFC Championship against the Patriots. I mean, that Jaguars team was an elite team. They had offensive playmakers. They had the defensive guys. I mean, Jacksonville was literally the surprise team of that year because of how good that team actually was. And yeah, now that Urban Meyer is back to dancing in women's laps at bars again, Jacksonville can actually get the playmakers that they need to actually kind of make somewhat of an offensive splash again.
You know what? No, Jacksonville's also, if they can pull them a wide receiver like that, it's a win-win because we know number one in the draft, they're going to draft that DN from Oregon, Thibodeau. I mean, it's pretty clear you're going to draft a DN. So not only are you going to get a DN to play with Miles Jack and guys like that and Josh Allen, but you're also going to go get a wide receiver in free agency. So, hell, you're already winning right there. You get an offensive playmaker and a defensive playmaker possibly.
You are.
Absolutely.
Good point.
Good point, man. This free agent discussion has been, oh my God, this has been so good. Any more thoughts on the free agency? You guys have any more picks? Any more surprises you might see going forward? For me, if I looked again, I do agree with you on all your guys' points about like the Stephon Gilmore's of the world, Allen Robinson, where he may end up going. What about I know we talked a little bit more about this a couple weeks ago, but what about Aaron Donald? Aaron Donald's career is up in the air. We don't know if he's going to stick around. We don't know if he's going to stay with the Rams. My question to you guys is, if he sticks around and decides not to stay in LA, which I don't know a reason why he wouldn't, but I'm just saying, let's just put a hypothetical in here. If Aaron Donald were to leave, if he would sign with another team instead of retire, since he's now got that Super Bowl ring, where would he end up?
San Fran.
You know what? I was thinking the same thing. You know what? I'm thinking of the Cowboys and Niners ways back in the 90s. I mean, look at Deion Sanders and Charles Haley.
Lord.
Yes, if Charles Haley and Deion Sanders won Super Bowls with Dallas and San Francisco in separate seasons, you know what, Kevin? That is exactly what I was thinking. Why not? You won a Super Bowl with the Rams. You have a great divisional opponent in San Francisco. If he goes to San Francisco, it's not.
Here's the problem with that, though.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Oh, wait, here's the problem, though. Cap space and Aaron Donald. The reason why he wants to retire or go somewhere is because, I mean, his contract is plain out disrespectful. He's not even the fifth highest paid defensive lineman in the NFL. This guy needs to be paid like a Ray Lewis, like a playmaker, defensive all-time player. You need to give this man $100 million. It's that simple. Like, you know that money they gave Chris Jones? Fuck that. He don't deserve half of what Aaron Donald deserves. Get out of here. If Kansas City, bro, you should have taken notes. Trade Chris Jones for Aaron Donald. It's simple. If you're going to pay the tackle that much money.
I was literally just about to bring up Kansas City because imagine, Kansas City's defense was less than stellar in the first half of the season. Melvin Ingram comes in and completely revitalizes that Chiefs defense. And now, if the Chiefs even think about going out and adding Aaron Donald, you would have Aaron Donald and Melvin Ingram as co-leaders of that defense. And you better fucking believe that if the Chiefs go out and add Aaron Donald, that tells you right then and there that the Chiefs defense is going to be near elite next season.
Dude, that is excellent. Go ahead, Kevin.
I got one for you. How about Aaron Donald doesn't even change cities? How about he just stays in LA and plays for the Chargers with Joe? How about he says, fuck it, I'm not making the move. I'm going to stay in LA and play for the AFC LA team.
Hey, I mean, that right there is a strong possibility.
That would be crazy.
Yeah, but that Kansas City take, that is an excellent take. I mean, because if Donald goes to the Chiefs next year and he decides that he wants to go somewhere else and Kansas City snatches him up, their defense is going to be top 5 because of Donald. He is that great of a defensive player. And the fact that he is underpaid, it is a slap in the face to his greatness. Because
maybe Cleveland will sign him as their starting quarterback instead of Baker Mayfield. Like, come on, Aaron Donald, let's start your quarterback. We'll have you play both sides of the ball.
Better. You know what?
Yep.
You know what? Here's an even better hot take. If the Chiefs just miss out on Aaron Donald, I can tell you another hot shot free agent who I'm sure Kansas City wouldn't mind signing. And that, of course, is Mr. Von Miller. Imagine
Mm.
if the Chiefs were to go out and get
Love
Von
it.
Miller. Just imagine. I mean, even if the Chiefs were to get Von Miller, that defense would be top 5 next season.
Von
Randy, you
Miller.
were saying?
Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm saying I want all these guys to stay out of the West and nobody go to the Chiefs. That'd be great. But if he gets to Kansas City, albeit I'd be pissed, but he'd get 2 games against the Broncos every year to crush them. So
That'd be 2 for sure. Donkeys losses.
maybe
Yep.
that is.
I feel you, Randy.
Damn it,
Yeah.
Steven.
Hey, I feel you, Randy. If Aaron Donald, if you don't want to come to San Francisco, get the fuck out of the NFC West. Kyler Murray, if you don't want to come to San Francisco, get the fuck out of the NFC West. Russell Wilson, same for you. Get the fuck out of the NFC West. Just every time they get the fuck out of the NFC West. Get out.
Every time,
All of
every time you guys are like, yeah, this guy's going to sign with a team from the AFC West. Screw Randy. Screw the Raiders every time. There's other teams. There's other divisions. Come on, guys. Damn it. Let's quit making the Chiefs better. They don't need any help. Damn it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I digress. They're all good. You guys have all good takes. They all make sense too. And this makes football better. Guys teams got to step up more and everything. So
Yeah,
stay out of the way.
absolutely. I agree, Randy. 1000%, my man. This discussion has been awesome, man. It's been probably one of my favorite discussions we had is this free agency because there's so many possibilities. What could happen, what will happen, what won't happen, and it's awesome that we kind of get to give our take. As sports fans, not as experts in this field or anything like that. I mean, the only one who's expert in this field or close to it is Kevin because he's got knowledge of the game and has played it. I mean, Joe knows some things. Randy, yeah, he knows some things. Steven, not so much. Me, I know nothing.
Of course, we're all better than Ezra, but I digress.
See, Ezra, do you know what the best part about it is? We can continue to talk about NFL free agency for the next several weeks. I mean, that's just how wide open this free agency class is.
And especially when some of these signings start happening.
Absolutely.
For literally weeks.
It's going to be interesting to see how this whole, like I said, this whole free agency takes shape because anything and everything can happen. So,
yeah.
So who knows? There could be some teams that get some real key players, some teams who are going to miss out. Who knows? We'll find out over the next couple of weeks. But you know what? Outside of I think 1 or 2 other quick news notes, I think I'm just about wrapped up for the show. Real quick, UFC 272 will be coming up on March 5th. The main event: Colby Covington and Jorge Masvidal in a bantamweight showdown, or actually welterweight showdown. It's going to be one for the ages between 2 of the best trash talkers and 2 of the best fighters on the planet.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that fight. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
It's gonna be one hell of a.
Alone will be worth it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Other fights on the main card include Rafael dos Anjos versus Rafael Fiziev, Edson Barboza versus Bryce Mitchell, Kevin Holland versus Alex Oliveira, and Sergey Spivak versus Greg Hardy. So it's going to be a really, 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 really strong card. Once again, March 5th, ESPN Plus. You know what? We got a few minutes before the show ends. Usually I go straight into final thoughts, but you know what? Let's talk about it for a brief second here. Let's talk about the I don't want to take too much time into it because I want to end the show close to time if we can. But let's talk about the Undertaker. Like you said at the beginning of the show, going into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022. So far, the only inductee, rightfully should be the only inductee.
It should be.
It should be.
Absolutely. Of course, I don't have to go over his stats. We all know 30 plus year career, multi-time world champion. Guys had the best streak at WrestleMania for years, 21 straight victories. Still has the best record at WrestleManias ever. Guys wrestled, mainly WWE for 30 plus years, but wrestled in WCW. All the great promotions around the world. Guy's done it all. Personally, my all-time favorite. It's awesome. Can't wait to see him go into the Hall of Fame as he rightfully deserves.
My all-time
Absolutely.
favorite. My all-time
Absolutely.
favorite.
And
He's
let
the
me
guy-
tell you, Undertaker, he has such a presence about him. I mean, whenever he first made his debut back in Survivor Series 1990, the team with Ted DiBiase's team at Survivor Series. I mean, everybody knew right then and there that Undertaker was gonna be a top tier superstar for so many years. And I'm telling you, whenever you heard that gong, gong, you knew your skin had to be tingling to the bit. And those superstars that were waiting for Undertaker in the ring, they were like, oh shit, what the hell am I about to get myself into? I mean, Undertaker had just had that presence about him whenever he stepped foot in the WWE ring. So,
Kane said it best in the promotional package for the Hall of Fame that came out after the announcement. The greatest character in all of professional wrestling.
Yes.
absolutely. And speaking of Kane, ever since I heard about Undertaker being inducted into the Hall of Fame, I was thinking right then and there was only one guy, other than Paul Bear, of course, who was no longer with us, but there is one guy who needs to induct the Undertaker into the Hall of Fame, and that is Kane. Because if anybody had the in-ring chemistry that the Undertaker had, or if anybody had any in-ring chemistry with the Undertaker as much as anybody else, it was Kane. So, Kane needs to be the one to nominate Undertaker. Anybody else would be just an absolute slap to the face.
I disagree. With you, Joey.
I disagree with that because there's so many other names you could throw out there. Stone Cold Steve.
You got Stone Cold, you got Shawn Michaels, you got Triple H.
Mick Foley.
But see,
Mick
Joey,
Foley.
here's the thing. I understand your point of Kane because Kane had a lot of chemistry with Taker in and out of the ring in the WWF/WWE. But here's the thing. If I'm the WWE, number one, absolutely, Undertaker should be the end-all, be-all, only inductee for the 2022 class of Hall of Fame for WWE.
Absolutely.
What the WWE needs to do, it's after SmackDown. There's no way the WWE audience wants to sit there for 5 hours plus, 2 on a SmackDown, 3 on a Hall of Fame. Make it short and sweet, 90 plus minutes, whatever you want to do, maybe even 2 hours if you want to do more speeches. But the Undertaker needs to be given speeches as far as their compliments to him with more than just Kane. It needs to be Kane, Kane, Austin, Foley, maybe Triple H, maybe Shawn Michaels, and most of all, Vince McMahon. Because Vince McMahon was the one that made the infamous phone call to Mark Calloway and said, "Is this the Undertaker?" And then it caught him off guard, and he goes, "Yeah, I'm your Undertaker." And that's where the gimmick was born. It is the most single greatest creation other than WrestleMania by Vince McMahon. Because The Undertaker, as far as a gimmick, a character, a box office present, The Undertaker was a wrestler during his prime. You didn't have to be a fan of professional wrestling, but you knew who that guy was. You knew who The Undertaker was. My cousin, Eric, he's not a wrestling fan, but he loves the character of The Undertaker because of the mystique, the black, the lights, the music, the whole package, and just the presence of that character. And then when Taker said that he felt like he got stale and he went to the American Badass, I thought that was cool because I'm telling you, my favorite entrance to this very day as the American Badass, WrestleMania 17, aka the greatest WrestleMania of all time, the Astrodome. 65 plus thousand people in that stadium. Rowan hits the PA system, and here comes Taker on that badass Harley motorcycle. And he made the single greatest bike entrance that I've ever seen in my life. And even ever since after I lost my eyesight 16 years ago, I still remember as a 9-10-year-old little kid watching that entrance and going, oh my God, like that was amazing. Just the adrenaline running through him, seeing all those people, on their feet. And he just made that entrance down the ramp, and the velocity of the speed. I'm like, damn, he's going down that ramp fast. And he just, he had to feel good. And then Kevin, you and I, Kevin, watched Mania 20, together at our cousin Daniel Cobble's house. And when Undertaker came back as the dead man character, arguably his best run, with that gimmick. Again, his feuds with Orton, his feuds with Edge. I mean, there's nothing more you can say. Michaels, Triple H, all those matches that he's had with Lesnar and stuff. I mean, Hall of Fame career. And before we even get off the air, I will say this right here, right now. The single greatest video package the WWE has put together. Undertaker and Metallica with Kid Rock's American Badass and Sad But True, both songs on that package. Yes, sir. That was amazing. Goosebumps.
Yeah. All I'm going to say is what a career by The Undertaker. The best gimmick to me personally in the history of wrestling. And he was my favorite growing up. That was my childhood, my growing up. Loved to watch him. And it's a different experience to watch him return or come out when you knew it was going to happen back in the day. You knew it, but it's a different experience to watch it live. And I remember I watched it twice live in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and South Carolina. I loved watching it live because it was something more bone chilling than usual. And I just
remember
loved
Kevin,
it.
you were at that SmackDown in 2004 when JBL, after Eddie came out there and did his
won
promo.
The title from Eddie Guerrero. And I met Eddie Guerrero. That was one of the best nights ever. And then Undertaker made his pretty much foreshadowed that whole rivalry with JBL after SmackDown went off the air and came out there and chokeslammed the hell out of the JBL. That was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Kevin, you and I were Kevin, were in Florence in 2006 at that SmackDown taping when Mr. Kennedy and Taker were having their feud. And when Kennedy was out
there wrestling, it was
they faced Kane. They faced Kennedy and MVP. Great. That was awesome.
I saw Undertaker total twice. I saw him in '96, which was my first ever wrestling show. I was sitting front row, and I was literally within 6 inches of touching the Undertaker as he came past to the front row. And then in 2004, my dad took me to SmackDown taping at the Allstate Arena in Chicago. And that was the night that Taker pledged his allegiance to Paul Heyman when Paul Heyman had the urn.
Yes.
He destroyed John
Cena. Ezra, how long was that? Because I literally went to the SmackDown I think 3 or 4 weeks right after that.
Yeah, that was 3 weeks.
Because I know it was
3 or 4 weeks. 3 or 4
right
weeks
before the Great American Bash, and I was right after the Great American Bash.
June 14th. I know the exact date. June 14th, 2004. That was.
I went on I think it was July 10th, something like that. It was right after the Bash, and it was right when the Undertaker told Paul Heyman, he was like, "If I can bury the one man that I cared about, can you imagine what I'm gonna do to you?"
Yeah,
and man, Kevin, Paul Heyman pissed himself.
And not only that, but when that pyro went off and Taker's
that scared the shit out of me.
You damn right it did. Dude, just like when we were there in Florence and Kane's pyro hit, I'm like, oh shit, like that scared the hell out of me.
But at that show, I had fully it was the first time I had ever quote unquote. This is before cosplay was even a thing. I had fully dressed up in Taker gear, black pants, black jacket, black hat, eyeliner on. Dude, I went to that show. Taker stayed as soon as the cameras rolled off. The Dudley Boys came out there and were congratulating Taker for joining Paul Heyman. They both got choke slammed, and then JBL came out there and started screaming at the Undertaker and threw his hat at him. Taker looked at his head, stared at him, grabbed him and picked him up and tombstoned him to send the crowd home happy.
I know it wasn't Taker's greatest, as far but it was cool, because when Taker joined Heyman for those couple of weeks, the next week when he came out there and he destroyed Rene Dupree, Rob Van Dam, John Cena, I'm like, holy shit! Like that was awesome.
Steven, that was the show.
Oh, okay, that's right. Okay,
that was the show because Heyman came out with the urn. The Undertaker stared at it.
That's right. Okay, that's right.
I was at that show. That was in Chicago.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
And one more thing before we get Randy's quick thoughts on it too. Before we wrap it up on the Undertaker, this photo right here.
Oh yeah.
Got to meet the Undertaker a little less than 3 years ago at a convention called Chicago Sports Spectacular. The best $150 I've ever spent in my life, and my lifelong dream came true of meeting him. It was
and
the
see
of my life.
And real quick before Randy gets his thoughts, there's one thing that I'm very synonymous with the Undertaker, and that is the fact that he and Shawn Michaels gave us, in my opinion, two of the best WrestleMania matches of all time.
I agree.
Absolutely.
WrestleMania 25 and WrestleMania 26.
My personal favorite besides that Mania 25 match for the Michaels, the match with him and Orton at Mania 21. Watch that live. Kevin, you and I were at the house together watching that, and we about had 2 heart attacks during that damn match.
Dude, you had heart attacks? Dude, me being the massive Taker fan I am, I was sweating bullets watching that match.
Oh my god.
Dude, to get into it too much of a
not to mention the spot that I remember seeing in that match was Undertaker trying to choke slam Orton, and then Orton is like, what the hell? I'll KO your ass. And he did just that. And I'm just like, my God.
Definitely. I agree. That's one hell of a spot. That was probably one of my favorite matches of all time. Randy, go ahead and give us your thoughts on Taker real quick before we wrap up the show.
Well, I'm trying to remember if I've seen him live. You remember I'm a lot older than you guys, so my memory's gone. But I just remember seeing him for the first time in the Royal Rumble. The Survivor Series. Coming out and just knowing, being a wrestling fan, knowing, who he was, kind of, the Mark Calloway, the Mark Callis character, knowing that with Paul Bearer, or not at the time Paul Bearer, but at the time coming out with Brother Love.
Yeah, Brother Love. Yeah.
He's going to be something. Yep. It's going to be great. And just reinventions over the years. And then doing a lot of crazy spots for a big man. He's the first to do all that. So he was a great character, great wrestler, great trendsetter, and he's definitely a Hall of Famer, without a doubt. And I'm with you guys 100%. Although there's some, probably some Texas wrestling guys that probably throw out there or something like that, but he needs to be the only inductee. But
no, nobody.
Make it
he
bigger.
Does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I want to say real quick, Randy, when you brought up the Royal Rumble, I immediately thought of the Royal Rumble match back in 2002 when we saw the biggest surprise elimination of them all, and that was Undertaker actually getting eliminated by Maven.
Yeah, definitely. I remember that too, man. That's
my God.
The look on Taker's face was priceless.
The look on Undertaker's face, my Lord, he was like, I'm coming to get you, buddy. You better watch out.
Yep.
Woo!
Such good stuff.
Absolutely, guys.
We can stay here for another 15 minutes talking about this.
Definitely we can, but we got to wrap up the show, guys. So usually I would do our final thoughts, but we're running a little bit out of time, so let's go ahead and wrap this bad boy. Actually, yeah, we can do final thoughts real quick. Let's do it, guys. Randy, you first. Go ahead, buddy.
Great show this week, guys. Good discussion as always. a lot of stuff will come to light in the next couple weeks on some more signings and some more destinations. So looking forward to that. And the start of the NBA second half should be great too. And great show, guys. As always. Thanks.
Absolutely, man. Randy, of course, always thank you. Kevin, you go.
So nice show with you guys, just like always every week. And it was great talking about the NBA down the stretch, about to get into playoff mode, the NFL off season, which, like Randy says, about to come to light. So in the next couple weeks, we should have more news for everybody out to talk about.
Absolutely. Let's go with, of course, Joe.
Another great show with you guys. I love coming on here week after week and talking sports with you guys. And all I got to say is bring on more NFL free agent talk, because there was a great discussion tonight about NFL free agency. And I'm looking forward to when free agency actually starts so we can actually see some big blockbuster moves. And again, congratulations, Undertaker.
Absolutely. I agree. Absolutely, man. I can't wait for these discussions to further escalate. So, but Steven, let's close it out, buddy.
Oh man, as always, another great show with you guys talking about sports and a little bit of wrestling with the Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame this year. And just man, I'm looking forward to these next couple of weeks because the free agency period is going to be heating up for the NFL, and the NBA season is about to start this Thursday. And it's going to be really interesting the next couple of weeks to see what trades and what signings happen. And obviously this weekend, the Nation's Corner is going to be live talking about the Undertaker going into the Hall of Fame again. When they talked about it this past Saturday, and I imagine they're going to talk about it again and talking about AEW, what they got going on this week. And it's going to be another good week of wrestling talk and another good show next week talking about NFL and NBA, all good things. And looking forward to next week.
Absolutely. Nation's Corner. Don't forget Saturdays at 7-6 Central on youtube.com/Nation's Corner. Also, let you guys know they're our sponsor, Mission Pro, pretty much our sponsors, Mission Pro. Their individual tickets are currently on sale for their event at the GCW Collective. Get them while you can.
Because they're going to sell out. Because if I'm not mistaken, the first couple of rows for all the events have sold out. So if you're going to be going to these shows, get your tickets while you can. If you're going to the Hall of Fame, get your tickets while you can, because they are going to sell out.
Yep, it doesn't matter if you're going to SmackDown, Hall of Fame, any of the GCW Collective events, Bloodsport, FEs, Big Game Brunch, Mission Pro, World on Lucha. It don't matter. Get your tickets, because WrestleMania weekend is the biggest weekend in wrestling. It'll sell out. Like I said, definitely get those Mission Pro tickets. You're not going to want to miss this card. I guarantee it. All right, that's enough for me and everybody else. So, from Randy Giron, from Joe Thornton, from Kevin Rorie, and from Stephen Wyand, I am Ezra Vickery, and we will see you all next week for another great edition of our Nation Sports Show. Take care, everybody, and have a great week. Peace.
Turn me up.